Hey, Crimson here, and hope you guys enjoy the video. There won't be any background footage because I am new to this. Hope that doesn't ruin the experience any. I am a support main in Overwatch, and Symmetra is one of my favorite DPS. And she also used to be a support. And recently, in an experimental patch, ML7 turned Symmetra into a healer. It didn't feel great at first, but they did some quality of life changes, and she ended up feeling pretty nice. With that, my love of supports and a video made by Yellow Ninja, which it should be somewhere in the description. I have made my own version of support Symmetra. It's not particularly original, nor does it change a lot with her kit, but I suppose we should go ahead and get into it. Alright, starting out with her HP, I have lowered it back to what it used to be before they buffed a lot of, it'll change a lot of health values in 25 health increments. I'm mostly doing this because she'll be both more consistent and more impactful with the changes I've given her. Her kit is almost entirely just having stuff added to it with just some number adjustments. Next up is the primary fire. I've reduced the damage to 45 at first level, 90 at the second, and 135 at the third level, and given it 2 meters of extra range. Her beam is a monster at high charge, but it's not easy to be in range of targets due to how short of a range it is and her lack of mobility and survivability. Giving her that extra range should make her primary fire feel a lot better, and reducing her DPS so that it's not so obnoxious, and also because she will be a support now, I think is a good way to handle the beam. Alright, now is her secondary fire. I've reduced the damage to 80 just as it is in the experimental, but it now will also pierce barriers, not players. It's an 80 isn't a massive amount of damage, especially when you can't do headshots, but Sim has always been a shield buster of sorts, so giving her that ability back a little bit better at range is pretty nice just for her utility. Alright, next up are the turrets. So she will have 4 healing turrets and 3 damaging turrets. If possible, I would have her have separate cooldowns for each turret type, even though they would function similarly to mortar orbs when you're actually deploying them. The damage turrets will have 5 extra points of health, and their damage per second reduced by 10. And healing turrets will have double the normal amount of health of current turrets. And they will be building themselves slightly faster than the damage turrets at only half a second instead of 3/4 of a second. And they will also have a 50% longer range. Individually, they will heal for 40 health per second, but that will have for each target for each turret that is on the same target. 40 for one turret, 60 for the second, 70 for the third, and then 75 for the last turret. I don't think she should lose damage turrets since they are a very consistent part of their kit. It's just about the only thing in her kit that hasn't really been changed all that much. They're very good for holding chokes, and that's part of Symmetra's playstyle. She's a defensive character. The health buff is just to make them a little harder to trivialize, but only 5 extra HP just makes it to where you can just tickle them a little bit if you have a way to just tickle them a little bit. The only characters that would really be heavily affected by this are like Mercy, that I can think of off the top of my head. Because even Brigitte can one-shot them still. As for the healing on the turrets, I wanted her to be able to have single turrets still feel impactful without having them pile up and be absolutely frustrating as heck to deal with. So that's why I gave them that diminishing returns. Alright, for the teleporter, it's just going to be identical to the experimental patch, except that the cooldown hasn't been changed at all. It'll give a 40% movement speed increase for 2 seconds whenever it is used by an ally, including yourself, and it can grant the effect every 10 seconds per ally. Finally, with her ultimate, she will have shield generator return to her kit alongside the Photon Barrier, and if you press reload, she will swap her selected ultimate. I have increased ult cost by 20% since it will be easier to build. As for the Photon Barrier, I've reduced its health by 1000 and its duration by 2 seconds. It is a strong ultimate, and this might keep it from being too annoying with it being relatively easy to charge now. The shield generator has its health reduced by 100, but it can be healed by turrets, so it is technically able to be a bit tankier if you are willing to sacrifice healing your team. And you can manually destroy it by pressing the ultimate key. I like the duality of Sim 2.0's, well, not necessarily the duality, but just the fact that she had two ultimates. But I do like the duality of these two ultimates, Photon Barrier and Shield Generator. Photon Barrier is very good for reactive use. It's the defensive ult, like Beat Drop and Transcendence, just in a different vein. And it is the default option since it will be used much more often. As Shield Generator, this isn't great for attack. I do think that she should have both ultimates since like Shield Generator is good for long fights and Photon Barrier is good for short fights. But that's pretty much everything for the ultimate. And that's pretty much it for this rework. I would love to hear if you think she's too strong or too weak, and I guess that's the end of the video.